I want to start the day with hope. I want to start the day with happiness. I want to start the day with song, and I hope you'll sing along. I want to start the day with you. I want to start the day with joy, deep in the heart of every girl and boy. I want to fill them all with pride and such joy to be alive. I want to start the day with you. You've got to feel it in your soul. The Spirit moves you and it takes control. It takes you to the highest high, lifts you up that mountainside. You've got to feel it in your soul. Let's make this world a better place. Tell everybody in the human race. Tell them about it, spread the news. I say, what have we got to lose? We're gonna make the dream come true. This thing today. Let's try to show the world a better way. Make sure that everything you do is as you'd have done unto you, and it'll chase the clouds away. To start the day with hope. I want to start the day with happiness. I want to start the day with song, and I hope you'll sing along. I want to start the day with you. I want to end the day with love that's shining down on me from God above. I want to celebrate with song, and I want you to sing along. I want to celebrate your love. I want to celebrate with song, and I hope you'll sing along. I want to celebrate with you. I want to celebrate your love with all praise to God above. I want to spend the day with you.
Well, good morning, and welcome to Unity Church of Overland Park. You know, I was watching you play, Fred, and I thought, if I can have as much fun this week as you have playing that Steinway, it'll be a good week. So, in fact, I think that's a good assignment for all of us. Have as much fun this week as Fred Alberts has playing piano. Well, we have a wonderful service planned for you today, and some of you might have heard Reverend Jan slipped and fell at the 9 o'clock service, so I'm sure she'll be just fine, but went ahead and sent her over to the hospital to just get everything x-rayed, make sure everything was where it should be, and everything was in place. So, Randy, I want to thank you so much for stepping in and leading our meditation today. Yeah. Well, let's just take this opportunity to turn within, to open our service with prayer. And so we connect with the light and the love of God that is within us. We allow that light and love to move through us during this time this morning, setting aside just this 1 hour to open ourselves up to new ways of looking for the guidance of God when it shows up in our lives. New ways of understanding the truth that God knows and allowing that truth to open us up into the space, the ability to relax. as we trust in God and follow the guidance we have received. And we see that same power and presence moving through each one of us, blessing those of us that might have a healing need, blessing us with healing, with prosperity, whatever our particular need is in this moment. We see that power and presence manifesting that need for us right now. And for that, we are grateful. Amen. And now I'd like to invite you to stand and join with our song leaders in singing I Release.
Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle. invite you to prepare as Fred and Joel lead us into a time of meditation.
All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is good, holy, holy.
All good, all good. That is what I know. Even when I'm lost in this ocean that we call this earthly plane, I know that with God, I am all good, all good. My thoughts, my words, my actions, I know they are guided by a higher wisdom and a higher grace. For everything there is a season, a time for every matter. I begin now to bring my thoughts to my divine wisdom, knowing that for every matter, for every concern in my heart, there is an answer. At this moment, I open up to the light that shines within me as wisdom, and I allow that wisdom to unfold in me as grace. Divine wisdom in me. It guides my thoughts, generates my positive flow, allows me to stay optimistic and confident. As I call upon the divine wisdom within me, I choose helpful, positive words, positive actions, and positive ideas, for I know it truly will bless me and it truly will bless others. Today I choose to take and be my constructive best and my highest good. And as I go into the silence, I allow myself to remember who I truly am, that I am truly light, I am truly love, I am wisdom, I am grace, and I choose my path. But I do know that which lights it, and for that I am grateful as we go into the silence. I invite you to repeat after me. I am divine. I am love. I am wisdom. And with those and those things alone, we know that we will always be guided home. For if we just focus on that which and that where we want to go, we will always be led through our divine wisdom, through our divine grace, and through our direct guidance. And for that we are grateful. And so you are, and so I am, and so it is. Thank you, God.
Would you please join me in singing the traditional version of the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. When things go wrong, it's natural to wonder, what celestial rule did I break? When things go right, it's logical to ponder, what credit can I take? But the truth is so much easier. I don't need a master plan. I can live here in the moment, 'cause my life is in good hands. I don't need to know where the wind blows, 'cause God knows. I don't need to know what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go, 'cause God knows. Still I find I'm crying out for answers. Guess I'm still craving control. And still I find I'm afraid of taking chances, as if I could damage my soul. But at this moment, I remember it comes so clear to me that the minute I surrender, I'm as safe as I could be. I don't need to know where the time goes, 'cause God knows. what the future holds, 'cause God knows. I need never know how pain ends, how my heart mends. I can just let go.
Well, it really is as simple as that. I don't have to know because God knows. It's really that simple. That's also one of the most complicated things that we spiritually are going to have to do, to understand and to really know that we don't have to worry. We don't have to stress ourselves out. We don't have to build up all of this fear within us because God knows. The spiritual journey becomes then an exercise in trust, and learning to trust that that power and presence that is within us, that presence of God is good, that it's guiding us to the highest expression of light and love that's possible for us in this moment. So like I said, it's just as simple as that. God knows, move on. Okay, knowing and doing are two different things. I get that. Well, welcome back to week 2 of our Silver Screen Spirituality series. And this week we're taking a look at the movie Finding Dory. And the lesson about exactly that, about trusting in God, about following the guidance that you seek, that shows up in that movie, Finding Dory. Now, I don't know if you've seen it or not yet. Some of you may not have seen it. So if you don't see it and you don't want to know, just earmuffs for just a second. Where to go? Okay. So in the movie, Dory remembers that she has a family, that she has parents, and that she's been trying to find them. And as she goes on her journey, one of the things she remembers is that when she was very little, her parents taught her that they would lay out a trail of shells for her to follow. And that should she ever get lost, all she has to do is follow the shells. And if she follows the shells, she'll find her way home. And once she gets lost and goes missing, when she finally reunites with her family at the end, what she realizes is that all that time she was gone, her family has been putting out these shells for her to follow. They've been leaving these shells behind so that as she's moving through the world, if she comes across a shell here or there, she can start following and she'll find her way home. And the presence of God works in us just the same way. Now it sounds like my mic might have gone out. Is my mic gone out? Yes. I'll be right back. It can be, here, all right, there we go. I can be very loud, but sometimes it's better if I have a microphone, So she discovers that these shells had been left for her to follow. And the truth is, it's the same for us. We know that God knows. We know that we don't have to know. But that presence of God, that light, that love of God has left little shells along the way, ready for us to find, ready for us to discover, ready for us to follow into the next greatest expression of what we are. You see, this movie is a wonderful lesson in how God's will works in our lives. I think that's a question a lot of us have is what is God's will? What does God want for me? What does God want for me to do? And we start focusing on trying to find it and looking out in the world around and where is it? Show me a sign. Is there a sign? We wait for that Cecil B. DeMille voice to speak, the Moses. We're hoping to hear that voice of God calling out to us. But you know what the truth is? God doesn't speak that way. God doesn't speak in that beautiful bass tone that makes Charlton Heston hear it. God speaks through feeling. God speaks through intuitive knowing, through our dreams, through the words of someone else that we talk to. Sometimes God speaks through the story of a little blue tang that's looking for her family. So as we begin to let go of that need to look out and start finding that need to look within, to feel that gentle nudge of God, the shells that have been set out for us to follow, they become apparently clear. It becomes clear what path is ours to follow. Now, in unity's first basic principle tells us that the power and presence of God is everywhere present and that it is all good, all the time. In unity, we believe in one power and one presence, God the good. And so when we ask ourselves, well, is God's will for me ultimately good? It seems clear to me, at least, that the answer is yes. I have a really hard time rationalizing that. Rationalizing the idea that there's one power and one presence, it's God the good, and that good power and good presence would will bad things to happen to me. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And what I would say is that even our traditional Christian friends, those friends of ours that believe in that wrathful, angry, vengeful Lord, that even they would say that God's ultimate will, God's ultimate desire for you is good. There's just a whole list of things you have to do in order to get God to want that good for you. You have to follow these rules, but that desire is still good. You see, usually what happens when we're talking about what is God's will, we're not talking about long term. We're not talking about the 10-year plan for our lives. When we ask that question, what is God's will? What we're really asking for is guidance. We're seeking guidance for something that has come up in our lives. We want support around some question that we have, some struggle that we're facing. Life is built up of all sorts of struggles. And I talked with a gentleman after the first service that he wanted to know, how do I deal with those bad things that happen in my life? What can I do to make them just go away? And what I told him was that they are not going to just go away. But it's the perspective that you approach those things with that makes all the difference in the world. You see, in order for us to really trust and know to follow the shells, it begins first with that belief that that presence of God, God the good, that its will for you is only good. You have to know that and believe that in the core of your being. You have to live every moment of your life, your thoughts, your feelings, expecting that this presence is trying to guide you to something good. That's that first step in trusting. And I know it's hard. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to say, okay, it's all good. Yay, God's got this. It's fine. Life can bring up a series of challenges. But what I've found is that when we ask that question, what's God's will? What we're really asking is, what am I being guided to do here? I've got an opportunity for a new job in a new city, but I really would hate to move my family. What's God's will? My parents are getting older, and I know I feel a responsibility to care for them, but I'm just not equipped to do that. I feel like I need to find professional help for that, but that makes me feel guilty. What's God's will? We're asking for that guidance. We're asking for the shells to be lined up in front of us. And I get it. It would be so much easier if we said, what is God's will? And God just kind of went, Brandon, get the red one. But God just doesn't speak that way. No matter how much we want it to, it doesn't speak that way. So then we start looking outside of ourselves. We start trying to look around us for solutions. We go up to friends and loved ones and we ask for their advice. And sometimes we go to professionals and we say, well, what should I do here? And all the while, that question of, is this the right thing for me and my family, never really gets answered. You see, this exercise in looking for the shells and trusting in that will of God, it's all about including God in your decision-making process. It's all about taking that time to get still, to turn within, and to ask for guidance. And then listen for the nudge. Listen for what it's guiding you to do. And then you actually have to go and do it. You see, this spiritual practice isn't just enough to say, no, God's got it, it's good, I'm fine, I'll just sit here and let God take care of that. It's about listening and doing. You have to take action on the guidance you receive. That's how the spiritual path works. God inspires us, and then we go and do what we've been inspired to do. Just like Dory remembered that the shells were laid out by her parents and that if she followed them, she would get home. And then she followed them and got home. She didn't just, oh, a path has been set for me, I'm not going to walk it. We have to take action. Now, I understand that's a very easy thing to do when the action that we want to take is what we want. It's real easy for us to want what God wants when it's also the same thing that we want. It's a whole lot more difficult when the thing that God's trying to move us towards doing is not what we want in our lives. We know so much better than God, but we're going to learn to trust. You see, it's easy to say, God knows I'm going to follow the shells when they're following and leading me towards the job that I've always wanted, or the relationship that I've always wanted, or the new home that I've always wanted. But here's the thing about those shells that sometimes we think were laid out for us. They're not your shells. They were meant for somebody else. Do not think that this is an easy spiritual practice, because there are times where you're going to be challenged to be brought into an expression that may not be what you thought it was. And I admit it, I may talk a good game when I'm up here on Sunday mornings, but I am not 100% accurate with this whole just letting go and letting God and trusting thing. Like I said, it's real easy when it's what I want. When it's something that's maybe not what I had in mind, it's a little bit different. That's why this is a spiritual journey, because this is a process that we are all walking through, that we are all growing through. Please do not beat yourself up if you weren't 100% the awareness and the expression of God this past week. That's okay. This is a journey in learning to trust in that presence of God. This is a journey in remembering when those things come up, those adventures, we'll call them, of life, to take the time to turn within and include God in that decision-making process. That presence is always available to us. I guarantee you those shells have been laid out for you to follow. We have to remember in the first place that they were laid out. And then we have to set our own personal will aside and trust in the will of God. And we're not the only ones that have that struggle. This is a very real struggle. It's something that happens for all of us. This is something that happened in the, and I know it's not Easter, but just go with me for a second. This happens in the Garden of Gethsemane and the story about that. And the prayer that Jesus has in the garden, and in Matthew 26, verse 39, he says, "Let this cup pass from me." And then this is the important part. "Yet not what I want, but what you want." Not what I want, what you want. We get so caught up in what we want. And when what we think we want doesn't happen, how does that affect your life? You wind up all lost all over again. But if we take the time to remind ourselves, not what I want, but what you want, and then we listen and we do it, we're taken into a greater expression of the divine light that we are than we ever could have been before. So I think we've got this idea that when we're faced with those decisions, when we're faced with those struggles, we take the time to listen, to feel the nudge, and then to do it. But there's a really great question that always pops up when we talk about what is God's will, what is divine will. And that's that question of, how do I know it's divine will? You see, what'll happen, and I guarantee this happens to you, it happens to me all the time, is you get that little bit of guidance from God. That little nudge to go do something or to take this step. And then this voice, it usually starts right here, goes, "How do you know that was really God? How can you be sure that what you're doing is what is really the divine will for you to do?" So I'll tell you the questions I run. I have a couple of questions that I run through my head when that happens. The first thing I always check in with myself and see is what I'm being guided to do something that will cause the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people? If the answer to that question is yes, chances are it's God's will. And then I ask myself, okay, in order to get this, is this something that's going to be able to be moved through effortlessly and easily, or am I going to have to spend the next 2 weeks trying to manipulate everybody to get what I want? Because chances are, if you have to manipulate the results, it's not God's will. It reminds me of one of the ministerial students I went through school with. He said one of the first classes they have us take is they have us sit down and talk about, why do you want to be a minister? What is it that makes you want to go through this 3-year program? Why do you want to do this? And he said, I don't really know. It's something I felt called to do, something I felt like I maybe should do in my life. And what I figured was I would just kind of start down that path. I would start working towards it. And if it's what I'm supposed to do, the doors will be open, it'll be easy and effortless. And if it's not, those doors are going to start closing. And it's going to be more and more of a struggle. What a beautiful way to describe how this will of God works. If you're questioning if what you're doing is the path that you're supposed to be walking on, ask yourself, is it easy? Are the shells very clearly laid out for you to follow? Or is it a struggle? One of the greatest metaphysical songs I know, you're the only one left here, so maybe you can. Well, one of the greatest metaphysical songs I know is Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And think about it. How do you row, row, row your boat? Gently down the stream. And how does it go when you're row, row, rowing your boat gently down the stream? Merrily. That's how life should be. If you're trying to go upstream and it's not merrily going along, chances are it's not God's will. Look for the shells. I promise you they've been laid out for you to follow. The steps that we have to take is we have to take the time to remember that they were there in the first place. And then we have to look for them and follow them. That's the work that we have to do. God's not going to do it for you. God built the map. You have to be the one to follow it. And as you do, as you take that step, you ask yourself, not what I want, but what you want. And allow that to reset your mindset. To turn away from that, okay, I need to get all of this, and this is what is going to be best for me. And to open up and trust that that good presence of God is guiding you to the highest expression of the light and love that you are possible. It all begins with trusting in that presence. So trust, listen, and take the steps to follow your shells. God bless you.
It has come to that time to bless the offerings, but I don't do anything simple, so I want to encourage you today to maybe do something different when you're making your offerings. How are your time, your talent, and your treasure being spent? Welcome home. You followed the shells that brought you home here to Unity Church of Overland Park. There are several Dorys still lost out there, still looking for their shells. I encourage you to be a shell. Let your music be a shell that lead people back home. Kelly, I appreciate you coming every week and spending time with us and singing. Let your time be a shell that brings people back home. There are several Dorys lost out there today. So when you use your time, your talent, and your treasure, I encourage you to use them not only for what you received, but also to help others receive. Help others find their way back. Be the shell for that 7-year-old child that has an abusive father that may be lost for years, and then all of a sudden at 22, 23 decides he wants to come home. Be the shell for that 45-year-old mother who's lost a daughter in a car accident, who at this point in her life doesn't know where to go or what to do, and is just looking for the shells. I encourage you, when you give today, whether it's your treasure, whether it's your time, or whether it's your talent, you ask yourself, am I being a shell, and am I guiding Dory home? And by Dory, I mean anyone who needs it. Whether it's to this home or to your home, be a shell. Please, the sanctuary should be full. The reason why it's not is because Dory is still out there. Find her. Be the first shell and then lead her to the next shell. Together, we will bring Dory home. And that's my challenge to you today. Take the time to be the treasure. Take the time to show your talent. And at this moment, don't give for what you received. Give for what others are still looking to receive. Give back. Remember how it was when you first walked into this church. Remember when it was when you first walked into a home, wherever that may be. Find Dory. At this time, I'd like you to hold your offering in your hand. If you feel comfortable, hold it with the person who's next to you that brought it with you. Knowing that divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And in your mind, please send out that prayer. Dory, come home. Dory, we're here waiting. Dory, I'm a shell. Dory, look for me. If this doesn't motivate you to give more of your time, your talent, and your treasure, maybe you're the one that's lost, and maybe you need to find your shells and know that you're welcome here, and that we all would love to welcome you home again. God bless.
When the child believes he'll live his dreams, his prayers are heard, he fears no thunder. When he falls, he safely lands, guided by invisible hands. When a mother cries, she hides her tears, says the Lord provides, but she can't help wonder who'll give her child what his heart demands. Darkness, we are lifted by love. Whisper and somebody hears. And if we dare to make that leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears. When the silent storm knocks me down, and the tide and times pull me under, stand again on these shifting sands, held by invisible hands. Oh, oh, invisible hands. In the darkness, we are lifted by love. Whisper and somebody hears. And if we dare to make that leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears. When the child believes she'll live her dreams, her prayers are heard, she feels